sticky. Sticky is if you touch it with like coolish, dry fingers and it sticks. That's sticky. This should feel tacky. You touch it, you think it's sticky, but it doesn't really stick to you. Okay, that's tacky. So it should feel tacky. This should be the softest dough you've made so far. The tackiest dough you've made so far. That's what you want. And it's going to, as it mixes, it will try to cling to the bowl. So you don't start adjusting it with flour. This is what it should look like. Okay, so mixing. So your mixing time is going to be, compared to lean doughs, it's going to be shorter. Short mixing, and you're going to use the modified straight dough method. Fermenting. We're going to ferment cooler. Why would you think that we would ferment cooler? What is in this dough? Fats. Okay, so butter melts at what temp? Kind of body temp. Yeah, room temp in Sacramento. You pull that butter. Summer, Sacramento. You don't have room temp butter, you have melted butter, right? Okay, so if this proof box climbs up to 95 or 100 like it does on us sometimes, you're going to melt the fat, you're going to trash your dough. So we're going to go cooler. So ideally, we need to move to 70 to 80 tops. So that's a little difficult in this class. Because in addition to running cooler, you've got fats that interfere with your yeast metabolism, you've got high sugar. So this is going to be a longer fermentation time. Plan on longer fermentation. It's got to be cooler. You have to be real diligent about watching this proof box. And usually in class what we shoot for is like 80 to about 83 in class. So we want to keep it cool. Once your butter starts to melt out, you know, you kind of damage your dough. So same with proofing. So fermentation, it's the same test for doneness. Finger indent should hold. Yeah, is there one over there? You can look in my toolbox. It's not going to get lost in the kitchen, is it? Where was that?
Same test for doneness?
Yes, same test for doneness. Should hold the finger indent, should double in size. Then when we proof, you got to keep that proof box cool again. So this is cooler than a lean dough. Going to be about the same temp. When we proof, we're not looking for double in volume like we are some of the lean doughs. We call it a 3/4 proof. It's going to be less rise because you don't have the gluten structure that can expand the way the lean doughs do. You do that, you overproof, you could have your product collapse on you. You don't have the gluten structure in there to hold in those gases. I'm going to wait till they're done. Does she have another cooler rack?
We'll do the two and then
Did you do an internal temp? Cranberry bread come out, Alex? Cranberry bread, did that come out? Is it beautiful? Okay, proof. So we call it a 3/4 proof rather than a full proof. The lean doughs we called the default proof. This is 3/4 proof. So you're not going to proof as much. Baking, pre-treatment. Most of those rich sweet items, cinnamon rolls, coffee cakes, all those are going to have an egg wash on them. Most of them. Make them shiny, make them pretty. Baking temp. So far we've been baking 400 and above, most of our product, right? Wild guess, baking temp, rich sweet doughs.
375?
How much?
375?
Yeah, probably. Lower. Lower than your lean doughs. Why are you baking lower than your lean doughs? Sugar and fat. See how it's all logical, it makes sense. So you're probably looking at 375, 385. Sometimes you'll see 400, but that would be something small that you're making quickly. So that's kind of your temperature range there. If you're doing an internal temperature, 195 to 200. For the rich doughs, we're dropping down to 195. Post-treatment. With our cinnamon rolls and our coffee cakes, we are going to apply clear glaze when your product is hot out of the oven. And then when your product cools down, we're going to apply flat icing. So let's talk about clear glaze. What is clear glaze? It's it's a sugar syrup that is thicker than a simple syrup. Simple syrup is generally 1-to-1 ratio. So clear glaze is a sugar syrup. You're going to apply this with a brush. So our formula has some caro syrup in it, and some sugar and some water. You're going to brush this on when your product is hot. If you wait to apply this after your product has cooled down, then it's going to remain sticky. So you got to get it hot. You're going to brush it on. What's the purpose of that, would you imagine? What? Okay, so one of the things that clear glaze is going to do is it's going to seal your product. So you're going to have, you're going to slow down your staling. It's going to seal that product so it can dry out. It's supposed to air as well. No, I need them now. Slow down drying. What else might that do?
Flavor?
No, it won't help the crisp texture, but it will kind of dry. And so it's in bright shine?
Yeah.
Is it shine? Yeah. Center fried some shine. And it's going to re-moisten your product. Quite hot. Some of it's going to seep in. It's going to re-moisten your product. And you'll see a big difference in an item that you apply clear glaze to and one that you don't, as far as shine goes.
So is it more like a 2-to-1 then?
Oh, I don't know what it is. Check the formula. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, always. Okay, flat icing. Powdered sugar, a little bit of carob syrup, some water. The flat icing needs to be wet temp range when you use it. Does anybody remember? Good guess. Good guess. Yeah. Okay, flat icing, we have that narrow range. About 95 to 100. When you heat your flat icing, remember, use your hand, stir it with your hand. If it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for the flat icing. Again, that's why I want you to use your hand. So if you're too hot, what happens to your flat icing?
Just flip over it.
No, it kind of crystallizes. It looks dull. It looks ugly. It's going to make your product look like it's a week old when you just baked it. Okay? So you got to really keep an eye on this temperature because you can just make the product look ugly. If it's not warm enough, the flat icing won't set up and get a little thing pressed on it. It's going to remain sticky. So you pick up your whatever and it's sticky. Okay. So flat icing, you're going to apply that when your product is room temp, but the flat icing is warm. Okay. Okay, questions so far? Yes.
So when you're applying this to the pastry, it's not right away? Like that, but it's after, right?
It's after this is cooled down to room temp. So how do you apply it? You can use your hand. Sometimes it's called string icing. You go in a shop, and you look at cinnamon rolls or Danish or something. String icing because you grab it with your fingers and it strings across your product. You get those lines. So this is the most fun you'll have all semester, is applying the flat icing. Yeah. Okay, questions so far? Alrighty, so what are we making? We're making cinnamon rolls. You're going to be making one piece of dough that you're going to divide into two portions. One portion weighs about a pound, one weighs about 20 ounces or so. So each group is going to be making one cinnamon roll type item and one coffee cake type item. We're going to have different varieties. You can see different things you can do with sweet roll dough. The cinnamon rolls, you're going to pat out your dough into a specific size. So the tip I want to give you is if there's a specific size on your size of dough and you're either rolling it or patting it, keep some kind of a template there, a piece of parchment or binder paper or something, so that you don't end up, if you're supposed to have an 8 by 12, you don't end up with rolling it 20 inches long and then you go, oh, what do I do with this now? Okay, so have the end size in mind as you're rolling. You don't want to get it too thin. That's the problem if you don't follow the sizes here, you get your dough too thin. So cinnamon rolls, you're going to roll out a piece of your dough, so it's a rectangle, I think it's 9 by 12 or something like that. And then you're going to butter wash. Use melted butter or very, very, very soft butter. And you can even use egg wash. You're going to put something here that's kind of sticky, and then cinnamon sugar goes over this. You're going to leave about an inch border with no butter, no cinnamon sugar. You're going to put a little bit of egg wash here. That's going to be glue. And then you're going to roll this up jelly roll fashion. When you get to the end, it's just like doing your white pan bread or the whole wheat pan bread today, jelly roll style. When you get to the end, you're going to pinch, pinch, pinch. That egg wash is glue. And then you have this long log. It looks like that. And your cinnamon sugar. And then we're going to cut this into 12 pieces. Okay? We have dental floss. You can try the dental floss trick. So we're going to cut that, and then you have individual cinnamon rolls.
I'm sorry, the first segment, that was just butter?
You can use either melted butter or egg wash. You need something to glue the cinnamon sugar to your dough.
Okay. But when you did the first set of lines, what is that?
That's egg wash or butter. Doesn't that look like egg wash or butter?
Alright.
No, it doesn't?
I wasn't sure if it was something else.
And then here's the cinnamon sugar part. That's why I teach culinary, not art. You can check your bread. Your okay, the first one.
We're artists. We just have a different medium. Food is
Okay,
just
you're looking too white on the sides. On the big guys, I can't see the small one. You want to make sure that you, in the braid, get some color. So take it out and look at it and close the door if you want to look at it. Close the door. Think about it when it's out. Okay, so I want you to press the sides, see what it feels like. Does it feel firm? It looks too white. What's your time? 20? Throw it in for about another 4 minutes, 5 minutes for your test. Actually, Amber, while you have it out, check the bottom. If we're getting too dark on the bottom, I'm going to have you do something to it. Lift up the paper. Set that down. Set your pan down. Lift up the paper, not the bread. And then peek underneath. No? Okay. Is it pretty dark outside? Okay, so what are you going to do to check its bottom? Double pan. Now, Adrian, we'll take the pan with you. What are we, 5 minutes or so behind that one?
Yeah.
Go for double pan the other. Those are knife cuts. Okay, cinnamon rolls. So now you have this log. We're going to divide this into 12 pieces. Thank you. So eyeball it in half. Get 6 out of a side. Eyeball it there, and then you get 2 and 2. Rather than starting at one end and trying to get 12. So by the time you hit the end, you're going to have a 13 or 9 or something. So kind of portion it when you do that. Mark it with the back side of your knife before you cut it, so if you have to redo it, you can. And we do have dental floss. Anybody cut dough with dental floss? Okay, that works really well. So we can do that, yeah.
I use a guitar string, a really fine
Anybody
guitar
have a
string.
guitar string at home? You use that.
It works.
Yeah, thin wire, fishing line, anything like that works. And so some of you are going to be making just plain old cinnamon rolls. They're going to be placed on a pan. We're going to bake them like that. Some of you are making sticky buns. And so you're going to be making a honey, brown sugar, butter mixture that was the same thing that we used when we did the monkey bread. So we're going to put some of that sticky buns paste down, and then you put your cinnamon rolls. When they come out of the oven, you turn them upside down. Very delicious, yeah. Okay, coffee cakes. Be sure to read your lab and get kind of dialed in as to what you're doing with your coffee cake. We're doing some different shapes. We're doing a braid, we're doing a ring, we're doing some other things. So I'm going to stop here because I don't want you run out of time here.